Astrocass back with another quick astrology update. Well, I say quick, but let's be honest, I'm a Gemini, so I'm probably going to talk for at least like half an hour. So definitely grab yourself a cup of tea and get comfortable because I do like to have a chit chat. It is going to be very casual though. You know me, we like to kind of keep it simple and chatty and just fun and lighthearted as much as we can. Um, but for everybody that's new to my channel, hi, I'm Cassie or Astrocass. I love all things astrology, spirituality, psychology, anything that's related to like mental health, well-being, fitness, motherhood, and IVF. All of those topics are things that I really enjoy. So if you found my channel, that's probably why you were drawn to me and my videos. Um, I am a Gemini, so Gemini Sun and Mercury, Aries rising and moon. I do have a Leo stellium as well. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And I want to say a big hello to everybody that is new and seeing me for the first time. It is amazing to have you all here, and I'm so glad that you guys found my video. To everybody that is new, thank you so much for coming along. I'm so glad you found my channel and my video. I really hope you guys enjoy this. For all my returning viewers and subscribers, I thank you so much for your constant support, and I really appreciate all of you. You guys know how much I love you all, and it's amazing because it's that energy exchange. Yeah, like I'm giving you guys all this information that I have accumulated through all my different varying forms of studying and learning. And I am being that true Gemini and giving you guys that information and teaching you guys, sharing my thoughts and inspiration with you guys, and motivating you guys to be prepared and to do your own research and to think about these things. So, it's really beautiful when you guys can reciprocate that energy with like a follow, subscribing, commenting on my videos, sharing. Any kind of interaction you can have with me is very much appreciated. And I know that the economy is a little bit tough right now, and you probably can't always support me financially through joining my Patreon or donating money, paying for readings, any of those sorts of things, or paying for any of my creative projects that I do, like my workbooks and stuff like that for the new and full moons. But if you guys can like, subscribe, share, comment on my channels, it'll help my videos be seen by more people and help my channel grow and help get my message out there. So I would very much appreciate that. It doesn't have to cost anything. But if you guys do want to find my information for my tarot readings or astrology readings, which I do a variety of different readings with these skills that I have, it'll be in the description box below. I also have a psychology degree from university as well. So I'm very much into the mindfulness psychological tools as well. With helping people, with my clients when I do readings for them, I kind of tap in intuitively. I also use my psychological skills, and then I also use those skills through spirituality, through divination. So whether that's tarot or astrology, to give people the best readings I can. So all my information will be below. The best way to book a reading with me is to email me or just send me a private message, like a PM or a DM, and I will get back to you with the costs and how to book in. Because I do have a part-time job, I do kind of do these readings behind the scenes. So it's very sparingly, like whenever I get a chance at the moment, because a lot of my predictions with astrology have been pretty accurate, like the predictions with Trump and everything like that. I have been getting quite a few people booking in, so I have been getting quite busy and trying to juggle that around my job and being a mum to a almost 3-year-old now. Like that's crazy, blows my mind that he's almost 3, but I love him so very, very much. But it's definitely mum life, work life, just trying to find that balance. So I will definitely respond to you very quickly and find a date to do your reading for you. So again, all of that will be below if you want to reach out. I won't reach out to you unless you message me first inquiring about readings. I'll never offer readings to you or just message you about readings. But yeah, if you reach out to me, I will certainly get back to you and give you as much information as I possibly can. With that all being said, you guys are here to talk about Uranus moving into Gemini. This is going to be a big one, huge one. And I've already filmed so many videos about the energy for this year because there's so many big planetary shifts, and the astrology is like, wow. I feel like this year there's so much to talk about. And I kind of knew this was coming because we have that Jupiter in Gemini energy. There's so much happening, so much information, so much news. It's like very distracting. Look here, look there. There's just an overwhelm, and an overload of information. So I'm very aware that I'm probably giving you a lot of information, and there's so many people out there that are probably giving you a lot of information as well. But nonetheless, I feel like I have some pretty cool insight and information to kind of give you guys. Some of it's like from my intuition, some of it's through just looking at the chart and, analyzing using my astrological skills to interpret what this year is going to be like, especially when it comes to that Uranus into Gemini energy. And I have already filmed this video. It is on my YouTube. So definitely recommend watching that one. The only thing is that I tried to record and for some reason it didn't record the screen when I did my screen share and it was just like a black screen. So you had this like tiny picture of me in the corner and a black screen. The audio is fine. The information that I talk about is fine. It's like, it's great. But yeah, that was just really disappointing. And I guess I just couldn't find a solution to kind of get around that. So I did upload that video just because the information is still relevant. And if people are just putting like their phone on just to listen to me talk, then that's obviously perfectly fine. They don't need the visual of me sitting here and showing like the natal chart for that ingress of Uranus into Gemini. But I thought I would try and film some of it again. It's not going to be exactly like the other video because, again, I don't have a script. I never go by scripts. I just kind of like sit down and just have a very casual chat and share my thoughts and my intuition. And I just kind of let the downloads come and the information come. And then I just kind of talk to you guys and give you that information as best as I can. So again, no script. Some of this information is some of the exact same information that probably came through a very similar energy in the very first one that I did, but this one I'm hoping will actually bring up the natal chart and visually will be a bit better for you. I highly do recommend watching that other video and just listening to it because there might be a lot of information that I kind of haven't touched on or don't bring up again. So I'll try and link that in the description box below as well if I remember. I will definitely try my best. But if not, definitely go look through my videos, have a look at the Uranus into Gemini video and listen to that one as well. I definitely recommend doing that. But let's break it down. What is that Uranus energy so we can really get an understanding of what is coming up for us? Uranus, for me, visually, it's electrifying. It looks like a lightning bolt, right? Uranus, for me, links to sudden downloads, sudden information. So things that are sudden, shocking, surprising, chaotic, disruptive, and unpredictable, right? It's very chaotic. It kind of reminds me of like the Tower card in astrology. But the thing with Uranus energy is that you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes these shocks and surprises can be for good reasons. Other times they can be, quite difficult and challenging, and things just come and go really quickly. And you're like, how the heck did that happen? Like, it's just so bizarre. So it's very fascinating energy. Uranus also links to, now it is the modern ruler of Uranus, right? Of Aquarius. So Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius. It's an air sign. But that energy of Aquarius and Uranus reminds me of like the mad scientists, inventors, inventions, rebellions, revolutions, humanity, people fighting for a cause. It also reminds me of technology. So computers, technology, AI, um, anything that's to do with like computers or tech, anything to do with like Elon Musk, his spaceships, space, all of that, aliens, is all very like Uranus vibes to me. So think aliens, think mad scientists, think space, astrology, weird, quirky, authentic, the outsiders, medicine, science. That is all that Uranus Aquarius energy. And it's very much infused into Uranus because of that. And so I really want you to get that understanding of Uranus and its energy and how unique it is, because it doesn't fit into a simplistic box. It beats, it marches to the beat of its own drum. It is very, very much an individualistic, it's bigger picture thinking with Uranus. And so when we have that mixed with the energy of Gemini, we have such a unique combination that we haven't seen in so many years. Now, I would like to point out as well that Uranus is a very slow moving planet. It spends about roughly 7 to 8 years in each zodiac sign. So a very, very slow orbit, which means that aspects to other planets are going to be very long lasting, and it doesn't it doesn't move through the zodiac signs very quickly. Like 8 years in one zodiac sign is really like such a long time. And a lot of us in our lifetime won't even see Uranus go through our whole natal chart. Like it just wouldn't, we just won't see it. For those who lived to like, 90s or their hundreds or live a bit later in life, they might see it get through quite a huge chunk of their astrology chart, but not the full way through. So it's very important to pay attention to what houses it transit, where it goes, what it's doing, because it's very unique in telling your personal story and how this is all going to unfold. Collectively, this energy is going to be very, very interesting as well, because as I said, we haven't seen this in like a very, very long time, this energy. And for the next 7 to 8 years, we're going to have Uranus and Gemini vibes and energy. So it's going to be very, very interesting. So I think a lot of people with Gemini placements, which is really interesting because Gemini, I believe Gemini placements are very, very common. A lot of people have Gemini suns, or at least a Gemini rising sun or moon. So it's going to be a huge one collectively for a lot of people if that is accurate, and if we do have a lot of people with Gemini placements, which I believe we do. I mean, I might be a little bit biased, but I'm a Gemini, and I swear I know so many people with Gemini placements. My husband has a Gemini moon and Mars. My child has a Gemini sun and Mercury like me. Uh, I think three of my friends from primary school and very close friends are all Gemini suns. One of my best friends, I've met some friends through her, and two of them happen to be Gemini suns as well. So, like my best friend, she has three Geminis, one of them being me, and two other people that are Gemini suns, and we're all kind of close. We all get along well. So, I just happen to like know a lot of Gemini people and attract a lot of people with Gemini placements into my life. So, I have a feeling there are a lot of people that are Geminis out there. So, I feel like this trans is going to be very big globally, because a lot of us are going to really feel it with our personal placements of like sun, moon, rising, or even like your Mercury, Venus, Mars, that kind of energy, right? Now, while this is so important, is because when we think about Gemini energy, right? Gemini is very curious. Gemini is the twins, it's mutable energy and it's air. It's about communication, learning, our thoughts. It's about our everyday commute to work. It's about our everyday community and neighborhood. It's about our siblings, cousins, like kind of that extended family, like cousins and siblings that kind of fit into that third house Gemini Mercury kind of energy. It's also transport and cars and public transport. It's short distance travel. So, when you, for example, like I'm from Tasmania, like when you travel around Tasmania, like from the south of Tasmania to the north, doing your road trips, like that's that Uranus, Gemini, sorry, that is that Gemini energy. When you travel around just like Australia, because that's your country, like your neighborhood, like your area that you're from, that's short distance travel. That all falls into that Gemini energy. So long distance travel is more Jupiter and Sagittarius energy, and that is a ninth house, I should say. Whereas the third house, Mercury and Gemini, is more short distance travel. So in your own country, in your own state, that kind of energy, right? So because you're not going like out of the country and not traveling outside of Australia or Tasmania, then obviously that would be like short-term travel. Anything outside of Australia, I would classify as like long distance travel and more, as I said, Jupiter, Sagittarius, ninth house energy. But, short distance travel, road trips, all of that kind of energy falls into the third house, right? So, like your neighbors and stuff like that, neighborhood, all of that third house. It can also link to early your early school days. So think primary school. I don't know what you call it in other countries. Apart from like prep to grade six, or year six, we call that primary school. And then we have year seven to year 10, which is high school, and then grade or year 11 and 12 is college, and then after that is like university. So that's when you do your bachelor degrees, your undergraduate degrees. So essentially, like we have primary school, high school, college, and then university if you decide to go to university. Primary school, and even because of Australia and how our school system is, I would say primary school and high school definitely fall into that third house, that Gemini kind of energy, right? So I think those themes are going to be really, really important this year. So keep that in mind when we're talking about Gemini energy. Like it's the merchant, it is the traveler, like the short distance traveler. It's the social butterfly. It's curious, it's chatty, can be a little bit gossipy, a little bit flirty, a bit of a trickster, a bit of a prankster. That's that Gemini Mercury kind of energy, okay? Again, as I said, social butterflies. Like when you think about mutable air, think about a bee bouncing, a bee buzzing around. That is air. It's flying, it's buzzing, right? And it's going from flower and it just gets a little bit, goes to the next flower, just gets a little bit, goes to the next flower. You know, that's that Gemini energy. It's curious, it's having a little taste, it's trying all the things, it's adapting, it's flying around, it's mutable, it's changeable, it's flexible, it's adaptable, right? That's that Gemini energy, okay? So keep that in mind when we're talking about all of this energy. Now, when we merge these two together, the first thing I want to point out is that when it comes to the body and like health astrology, from my very limited understanding, I haven't gone a great deal into like health astrology, but I do know that Mercury tends to rule over the hands and the nervous system, okay, and our voice, our communication. And Uranus also rules over the nervous system, okay. So you kind of got that doubling up of the nervous system coming into play now. So this tells me there could be a lot happening with our nervous system this year and for the next like 7 to 8 years. So we might feel very anxious, very overstimulated. Our nervous system might be highly reactive and very activated during this time. So keep that in mind. I'm not sure what events are going to happen globally that make us feel that way, but it feels very different, very new, very exciting. Our nervous system feels very overloaded, very activated during this time. Now, that's going to be important for a lot of us. So keep that in mind. It's one thing that really stood out to me like quite early on. Okay. And the other thing really I felt strongly was borders shifting, borders changing. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because I feel like Uranus shakes things up. It changes things. It's very surprising and shocking. And with that Gemini energy being like the merchant and ruling over things like short distance travel, I really feel like maybe um some states, some countries, I don't know. I just feel like there's going to be borders shifting between different countries and nations and between different states. Like, I really feel like there's a bit of a shakeup. So, I don't know if some countries are going to like, countries or states or nations are going to like merge together, lose land, gain land. I don't know what's going to happen there. Um, I felt for a while that Australia will separate from the United Kingdom. Um, I feel like there's a lot happening with like European countries. I know France and Germany are going through a lot at the moment. So, will we see some places being more independent? I know Texas kind of want to be very independent. I've heard a bit of chats about California wanting to be independent. We know that the US is trying to get Canada to be part of the US. I don't know, there could be a lot of things shifting and changing. A lot of borders, a lot of countries, obviously we know that there's stuff going on with Russia and Ukraine at the moment. I just feel like there's going to be a lot of that kind of energy. So that's the first thing that really stood out to me. Watching places like Italy, watching places like Texas, California, Spain, Australia from the UK. Yeah, like I just feel like there could be a lot of places that are just shifting. I would watch China and Taiwan as well. I don't know, those places it just seems, yeah, like there could be a lot that happens this year, or at least seeds being planted for these border changes or something like that. Like we might start to see things developing, even if it takes a few years. As I said, this is about a 7 or 8 year transit. We might only see small events starting off. But over time, over the 7 years, we, might see the fruition and how this, all kind of ties together and comes to a bit of a finale as Uranus finishes up its transit in Gemini before it moves into Cancer. Now, the date you can obviously see, the 7th of July, is when Uranus will move into Gemini. Obviously, check your time zone for when this happens. But that'll be an important date. So an important time frame for us this year to kind of keep an eye on for big shifts globally. Obviously, this is going to be very different for all of us individually in our natal charts, but collectively in the world, that date could be quite important. We might see some big events happening around that time. So definitely keep that date somewhere that you can kind of refer back to it. Save this video, as I said, refer back to it a bit later so you can kind of see the energy, the predictions, the vibes that I'm kind of giving off. I see a lot happening with communication too. Now, I know that that is a very generic, broad term, but when I'm saying communication, think the way we use telephones and communicate with our phones. We rely on our telephones so much. And if we think about it, like really, I think the 2000s were kind of when we might have started to really pick up on using phones, mobile phones, like portable, proper phones more. And also like computers and Wi-Fi, like the 2000s. They were very expensive and they were starting to become like, cool and everyone wanted them. But like, I remember when I was younger, the dial up and the internet, and I remember obviously we're only allowed to have like small amounts of time. Like the internet was expensive, you had to dial up, it took a while, and like you had to share because computers were still very, very expensive at that time. So, I mean, households and families only really had one computer, one TV, and just like a normal house phone. That was all. Like, not everybody had mobile phones and all this other stuff. I remember my mum had one of like the really blocky kind of phones, and then eventually, obviously, when I was in high school, towards the end of high school, so I would say probably like grade 8 or 9, that's when they started bringing out like the Nokias, the block like Nokia phones, Nokia 3310s or whatever they were. And that's when it was like more common and becoming easier for people to buy phones. And I remember, I think I was in year 10, grade 10, when I first got my first phone, and that was that Nokia phone. It was very much a privilege. It was quite expensive for credit and stuff like that. And obviously, being young, you would often have this phone, but no money to actually text people or call people. So you'd often just use it for games or if someone wanted to text you. And quite often you had to like ask people to send you credit, send you $1 so you could text people or whatever it was. So very much that time frame. Now we don't really have like prepaid credit as much. Everyone has brand new phones on plans. Like it's definitely over capitalized. If we think back about how it started, like then kind of in the 2000s and 2000, I think I got, as I said, I think I got my first phone in year 10, which I think was about 2007, like at the start of, grade 10, or might have been in grade 9. around about that time. So 2006, 2007 is when I think I got my first phone. And that was very much when, you know, laptops and mobile phones were becoming a little bit more accessible. They were still very expensive, but they were becoming like more mainstream and everyone wanted to start having them. So of course, like pretty much everyone in school was starting to get a mobile phone at that stage. And it was roughly about that stage as well where, about grade 10, grade 11, when people really wanted to have laptops and stuff like that for studying. And, instead of just the family computer, everybody kind of wanted to slowly move into having a laptop. Now, they were still very expensive. Like even a cheap one was costing you probably like $1,000. So, for someone who is like 16, 17 years old, like $1,000 for a laptop's actually very expensive. And, even the phones and stuff were still pretty expensive as well. They were probably sitting between, the $500 to $1,000 mark as well. So, those things were definitely luxuries and expensive. But now we look at where we are now with our phones, like they've advanced so much since then. Like the brick phones where you literally had to tap in the buttons and the way we use them and stuff like that. Now we've got these touch screens, like fancy kind of, phones. And it's really only been, what, like, oh, not quite, but coming on to close to like 20 years, 15 to 20 years. And we've had a huge leap in the technology, a huge leap in the way we use phones. And everybody, even like 8-year-olds are running around like with phones and tablets and stuff. So, even I know even like 4-year-olds and 3-year-olds that have their own tablets because like, it's just what people do. No judgment, but like seems like everybody has tablets and mobile phones and laptops and multiple computers and multiple TVs and stuff in their house. Like, as I said, over consumerism. And, I'm a little bit guilty of that too. Like, obviously, yeah, I have a laptop. My husband has a laptop. He's got a gaming computer. We've got a TV in the house. We've both got mobile phones, but, it is hard to like not get sucked into that. But I just feel like there's going to be a big shift. And I know I'm harping on about this quite a fair bit, but like I really just wanted to make the point that, over the last like 15 years, technology has changed so much, even with computers, laptops, like the first phone to like the first kind of like common, mobile phone that, teenagers or, young adults had as it was becoming mainstream to like now, the era that we're in, and with children and the youth of today, and how they all use technology and use phones, and how, like, I don't know how much money we're spending on all these things and phone plans and all that kind of stuff. I think it's all important to think about that and where we're at because, by the end of this Uranus and Gemini transit in 8 years, we are going to like skyrocket with technology and communication. And I mean that in the fact of like, for me, the third house links to like social media and like email and instant communication. So, like when you're typing on your phone and sending like a message and stuff or calling people, it's all that third house Gemini kind of energy. So, I feel like the way we talk on social media, the DMs, the PMs, the instant messaging, the way we communicate through our social media, the way we get our news through social media, it's going to be very different. I think we're going to have some new social media platforms, a lot of new social media platforms that are going to be used in a completely new way, like completely different to what we've got with our current social media platforms. I feel like a lot of people are going to trust social media and use social media for news, and try not to, be censored. They're going to try and use this as a way to, I guess, share their stories and their information and teach each other and learn from each other. It's how we're going to communicate and share stories. So, although that's what we're already doing now, I see this being very different, like a whole heap of new platforms, a whole lot of technologically advanced software and machines as well. Like we have mobile phones now, but I feel like we're going to have something that is very different, like looks and feels very different. I guess like how we went from like the wall phones, the dial phones to like wireless mobile phones, and the first ones were like bricks with massive antennas, and then they've gotten smaller, and now we've gone from like having to push in heaps of buttons to like touch screen and stuff. Like we're gonna have a phone, but it's going to be a completely new way of communicating, like a brand new form. And we do have AI, we've got robots, we've got all this different stuff coming. We have like aliens. So is there going to be some kind of like alien tech? Some kind of new electricity, some kind of free electricity that makes our communication and stuff like that cheaper or free or faster? Uh, is there some new way of getting from A to B, like some kind of short distance instant travel, some kind of like really fast public transport, some new transport. Like I know we're using tech a lot, and like I know that Elon's come up with all these really great ideas with like drones and electric buses, cars, you know, you name it. He's kind of coming up with it. Small, tiny homes. Like again, when I'm thinking about Gemini energy, I'm thinking about the neighborhood and our small communities. And Uranus is telling me that this is all going to be very technologically advanced. Like there's all brand new tech coming to our communities and our neighborhoods. So think tiny homes, electric homes, solar powered homes, clean energy, some kind of clean, free energy. I don't know how that looks. I don't know if this is like alien stuff or it's just a new source of energy or just AI helps us kind of find something. I don't know, but it feels like a new electricity source, something free, something new, a huge focus on global warming and our impacts. It feels like a whole brand new way of public transport, whether that's like some kind of way that we can do really fast, instant transportation, like teleportation, or whether it's like high-speed buses and trains, like at a whole brand new magnetic speed that's high tech. I don't know. We're also going to see public transport with electric buses, as I said, and trains. We're going to see brand new airplanes and transport, like electric airplanes, brand new airplanes and stuff like that. And these airplanes aren't going to look anything like the traditional airplanes that we've got. They're going to be very much solar powered, very electrical and tech savvy. Elon's going to be huge in this. We might also see, as I said, brand new phones, brand new platforms. So we're used to these normal mobile phones. We're going to have a form of communication, but I don't think it's going to be a mobile phone or it's going to be a whole brand new version of a mobile phone that's a very, very different to what we're used to. And again, brand new social media and platforms. I think the internet is going to change dramatically. I think we're going to have blackouts, cyber attacks. I think there's going to be a lot of information theft, a lot of identity theft. I think our personal information is not going to be protected on the internet. Um, I feel like any information that we put out into the internet is going to be able to be free gain and used for a lot of different things. So Uranus tells me it's like rebellious energy. It tells me that there's a lot going on with the technology and the internet. So Uranus is telling me internet, and Gemini is telling me information. Our information is not going to be safe. It's going to be very, very accessible for people. So be cautious and aware of all of that, especially when you've got Pluto in Aquarius, again, that energy, and then Neptune moving into Aries. Aries is our identity, our physical self. Neptune is, it can be like identity theft, right? And then you've also got information theft through, or information and technology chaos and troubles with that. Uranus and Gemini. So just keep an eye on all of that. But yeah, huge changes with technology. I think the internet's going to be completely different too. Like, I feel there's going to be a brand new version of the internet that's way faster, more accessible, more enticing for people. So I really feel like that's going to be huge. I feel like AR, VR, technology, robots, all of that, you name it, anything that's very inventive and tech related, that's related to Elon Musk, is going to be huge moving forward over the next like 7 to 8 years. Think robots doing your everyday stuff for you, robots and technology getting you to work and around your neighborhood so quickly and so easily. Robots doing your shopping, doing all that kind of stuff. Like technology being the merchant. Think about drones like doing your shopping for you and dropping it off at your place, like cutting off a lot of the need to have to travel and transport. Like technology is going to change what we have to do in our day to day and how much we have to commute and travel for work, for groceries, for chores, all that kind of stuff. Technology is going to be a huge part of our life. I also see it, you know, teaching us a lot of things. Like I see us learning through technology, through AI, through robots a lot as well. So I feel like we're going to be learning and having some massive scientific breakthroughs, not just with transport and technology and, cars in our neighborhood and electricity, but just so much new technology that helps us with being merchants with our goods, like, you know, sending and receiving, importing, exporting goods, all of that kind of stuff. A lot of shared information, a lot of sudden downloads and weird, surprising, shocking information. I see people communicating in very chaotic, shocking ways as well for the next 8 years. I feel like people are going to be really shaking things up and really being like weird and quirky and authentic. We might have communication with aliens as well, because when you think about the planet of aliens and technology being in the sign of Gemini, which is communication, definitely direct communications with aliens. We've already kind of been getting like prepped and exposed and desensitized to that through everything that's been happening in the US over 2024 and like now with like the sightings of drones and the unexplained phenomena and unexplained flying crafts and UFOs and stuff. Like we're already getting desensitized. I think we're gonna start over the next 7 to 8 years having some very strong direct conversations with other life force, aliens, whatever you want to call it. Some of it real, some of it fake. But there is going to be communications with other dimensions, higher powers, other people, other entities. Definitely communication and some form of like travel there with that. Can we travel to other dimensions, other galaxies? I don't know. With that Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, Saturn and Neptune in Aries, anything's possible. It's going to be a whole brand new world. I also see a huge change with communication and understanding. Now, when I'm saying this, there's a lot of ways that this can play out, but think about how there can be a lot of challenges with understanding different languages and different cultures and a bit of a barrier there. People try and use their phones to translate from like English to another language or, you know, vice versa. But even then, it's still very jarring and very confusing. I feel like there's going to be some technology or something that's invented that is going to make communication between other languages and cultures very quick and very easy and not clunky and not misinterpreted, if that makes sense. I also feel like there can be a lot of developments around communication with animals and other forms of consciousness. So whether that's through, just domestic animals, sea life, I feel like we're going to invent things that allow us to tap into their consciousness and discuss things with them, because I feel like in 2025 and over the next few years, there's going to be some huge neurological advancements, some huge advancements with the human brain, with consciousness, with how we communicate, with how we think. New things found out about the brain, new developments around the brain, new studies done on the brain. I feel like we could have some medical advancements as well with illnesses and diseases we've had that affect the brain. Maybe some big breakthroughs with Alzheimer's and dementia. We're also going to see a big focus on Elon Musk's Neuralink and like brain chips and those sorts of things, and even maybe sleep and, the spiritual unconscious world. There can be a lot of technological advancements and a lot happening here. So keep that all in mind. I feel like we're entering a world where this stuff's going to be very interesting. And you know what? It could even look like in the, 5, 10 years time that, lots of people do have the Neuralink or some kind of brain chip to allow them to use technology and do all that kind of stuff. Like maybe in the future, the way we communicate with this new phone system and internet and technology, you have to have this brain chip to kind of interact with it. And maybe it's like a virtual kind of AR reality kind of world that integrates like virtual reality and AI and robots and technology through the brain chip somehow. Maybe 5 to 10 years, that's a reality, or it's starting to become a reality. Maybe there's a lot of studies that we're going to be doing now on the brain that kind of leads to that very, very soon. Again, that does sound very far-fetched, but that's just kind of like the energy. And I just predict that there's going to be some huge changes. And it's going to cause like a bit of a division, a bit of rebellion. There's going to be some people where this is going to entice them to connect to their higher self, which is that Uranus energy, their higher mind, their higher self, their unconscious self, through that Neptune in Aries and Uranus in Gemini. There will be people that will turn within and they'll realize that we are the gods and that everything we need is inside us, and they will become highly enlightened and aware. And there will be others that will embrace transhumanism and partake in the brain chips, the body part replacements, or technological organs that have been made in a lab or through medical advancements, those sorts of things. Like there will be people that will be like, yep, I'm going to prolong my life, or yep, I'm okay to get the brain chip so I can be involved in this new technology that's out there. And that's going to be very interesting. We're going to have like a split of people being embracing the technological advancements. I don't know. It's like an AR revolution that we're going through, like a tech revolution. There's going to be some people that really embrace that and will go, yep, pull down, like I'm going to alter my human body, put a brain chip in, put this in, put that in, do whatever you need to do. And then there's other people that are going to be like anti technology, or they're going to be less likely. They might partake in some forms of this new technology, but they won't have anything changed to their body or in their body, or anything like that. They will turn within and do more of that spiritual, the instant downloads through, higher self, through the higher consciousness, if that makes sense. There's going to be like two kind of pathways that humanity can take. It's kind of split into two different worlds, I don't know, two different ways, two different pathways, if that makes sense. I know that sounds a bit quirky, but in my head, like that's how I kind of see it. There'll be people that'll just stick to the traditional, more humanistic, living off the land, connecting to spirit, connecting to the higher self, and then others that'll go full down the technological revolution route, and be living in high technological advanced cities, like the 3-minute cities or whatever. Living virtually online quite a lot of the time and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a very interesting time, but like that's kind of how I see this energy playing out. Like, as I said, huge changes with the internet, with technology. I feel like we might see, in 2025 and 2026, some huge cyber wars and attacks and blackouts, that kind of stuff. And I feel like eventually we're going to get to a big change with our monetary system and finances and currency. So, I mean, that's no shock and surprise, but I do feel like that coming very, very soon with all this energy as well. With the change to like trade and that Gemini merchant energy and Uranus like bringing new technology, again, definitely feel like there's a huge link between like actual gold and coins and money, and our current money system will be slowly becoming irrelevant, and will be slowly shifting into a new currency that's linked to technology, or a new invention, or a new something. Whether that's something that's kind of like, I don't know, like through the aliens, through new technology, through AI, something, I don't know. I don't know if it's Bitcoin. I don't know if it's a new form of energy, something that's new and different that we can trade, that has value, that we can use as a new money or a new currency. I don't know, but I feel like there's a big shift there, and I feel like as we get closer to that energy, it'll definitely become clearer. But I just feel like money at the moment and the money system that we've got is dying and it's going to be ending very soon. And there's going to be a new thing that we're going to be trading, a new currency, a new energy, a new product that we're going to be trading with that's very technological, that is very new, something that's been invented, some new invention that's coming our way. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it. And I don't know. I hope to elaborate a little bit more as we get closer to it. One last final thing, again, schools and the way we learn is going to change. So remember how I said that that Gemini energy links to primary schools, high school, like early school education. It links to learning. I honestly feel like we're going to be learning from AI and through technology a lot. And I also feel like kids might not be going to school. I might not have to go to school, like not the normal traditional school that we're used to, where you go to the classroom, you sit with teachers. I feel like if that is a setting that they still do, like that classroom setting, I feel like there could be a lot of robots as teachers or like somehow in implementing robots and AI through the course and curriculum. A lot of tech is going to come into the schools. A lot more focus on computers and the internet for teaching, so that we can use AI and robots and yeah, all this new tech that's coming to learn. I also feel like there is going to be also a huge focus on homeschooling and opportunities for kids to learn virtually from home online. They've already tested this out in places like Japan, where they've had like avatars and like virtual kind of online school and classrooms, and they do things from home virtually on the computer and on technology. I feel like that is going to be quite big and quite popular. A lot of parents really struggle to send their kids to school. They struggle to trust that their kids are safe. There's a huge focus on children's mental health and how they're bullied and not safe at school, and a lot of focus on I guess the reasons around bullying and why kids are ending their life, that whole situation. So I think for parents, maybe homeschooling or having their kids be able to do their schooling from home is going to be a good option, because parents will feel like their kid might be safer, less likely to get bullied, um, less chance of them ending their life unaliving. There's also a less chance of, you know, how America has huge issues with their gun policies, and quite often they have mass um, attacks at schools where there are events around shooting and those types of weapons. This would allow children to be safe and to be at home, and for that to be not a huge issue. But what does that mean for the fields of teachers, like the actual teachers we've got at the moment? Are they going to be replaced by AI, by robots, by the online platform? Are they not going to be needed anymore? I don't know. It's going to look very different. I feel like there's going to be more options and more choices for people for how they educate their children and what pathway they want to take, because of all the issues that we do have currently with sending our children to school and them not being safe. But then that's also going to cause another issue with who's going to be at home watching their kids. You know, if both parents are working, and with how the economy is at the moment and both parents have to work, you can't afford to live. Sorry, it's just something on my screen. Yeah, let me just fix that because it's really bothering. That's better. Um, you know, with both parents needing to work, who's going to be at home to watch the kids while they do their online schooling? That's going to be the question. So it'll be very interesting to see how that all kind of navigates. I do feel like there's going to be some huge changes and more parents wanting to start their own business or being entrepreneurs or working from home. So maybe the homeschooling and kids studying from home is just going to naturally kind of blend in with parents changing the way that they work or how they want to work, especially I think since 2019 and the events that happened with the lockdowns and then people having to work from home. I guess that's really made people think about wanting to spend more time at home and that being a viable option. Maybe, you know, it's just the natural onflow from all of that, and the rise in people wanting to be entrepreneurs now, wanting to have their own business, sell their own products, and do their own thing. So very interesting times, very, very interesting. But let me know what you guys think about all of this, because I know I've just been chit-chatting away and having a bit of a brain dump with you guys on like the energy and what I see. Also, I'm really sorry about my voice. I do have a bit of a cold, but I really wanted to get this video out for you guys. So I do apologize if my voice is a little bit crackly, croaky for any of the little coughs that I've done. But thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for watching. Again, please like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. I'd really appreciate that energy exchange and your support. It means the world to me. I'd love to get up to 500 subs really quickly, if possible. I know it's definitely wishful thinking, but I'm an optimistic. I know that you guys can get behind me and help me get to that 500K, that 500, not 500K, 500 sub, and hopefully then I can go for 1K and then just keep building up from there. But we'll start with our small little goal. So at the moment, my goal is 500 subs. So I'm not that far away from it. Let's see. If you guys share my videos, like, interact with me, I can get there, and then I can put out more content and spend some more time doing this stuff and engage a little bit more with you guys. And if there's any kind of feedback you want to give me for more videos for the future, things you want me to film and talk about, definitely drop them below, and I will take that on board and definitely try and film anything that you guys are interested in related to like spirituality, astrology, anything like that. But thank you again so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.